Good morning. This is Cynthia A. Johnson with Stand Up Now. Thank you for tuning in to this show. I hope you find this half hour enjoyable and inspiring as we showcase regular people from the city of Detroit who are doing great things and really making a difference in our city, the city of Detroit. Good morning, family. Good morning. This is Stand Up Now with Cynthia A. Johnson, and you're listening to us on Gospel 1440 WMKM Reborn. Please get all of your father figures, fathers, sons, uncles, mothers, daughters. I mean, just get everyone to listen to this show today. We have a special guest whose name is Mr. Joe Farley. He is the CEO and founder of Friends of Family, and he can be found on his organization, a for-profit organization, can be found on Facebook. It's called Friends of Family Community Page. And the organization is about strengthening men and empowering fathers. Good morning, Mr. Farley.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me on. I truly appreciate it.
And we appreciate you for doing all that you do in the city of Detroit.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about who you are and why this organization was so important to have been founded.
Okay, great. Well, again, my name is Joe Farley. I'm the principal life coach of Friends of Fathers, which is a company that basically educate and advocate and provide resource services for fathers. We are considered as a men's life coach company. It's so important. One of the major things that we actually provide services in is helping fathers to be involved with their children's lives. The organization started back in 2007. A year before that, I was faced with an issue whereas I was unemployed and had to address my child support issue. And I received a show cause in the mail. And most of the fathers out there understand that show cause is something that in our community, in our society, we get afraid of, meaning that we think that we're going to go to jail.
Did it scare you?
It scared me. I called my brother up. I said, Clarence, man, I got a show cause. And my brother has dealt with child support many times and had to post bond, and he had to go to jail for a few days or whatever.
Okay, so some people don't know what a show cause is. A show cause is tell us what happened.
Well,
not what happened,
sure,
but
sure.
The show cause.
Well, the show cause basically for me, and it came to me in a letter saying that we need you to come to court to show cause. Why aren't you paying your child support? And with that being the case, at that particular time I was unemployed. But again, the word show cause and the reputation that it had in the community, I just knew guys who go to jail. I never had a child support issue at that particular time, never. And I just wasn't employed, and they wanted to find out why I wasn't paying.
Okay, so you weren't employed. How was your child or children at that time?
Yeah, my daughters, I believe
oldest.
they were about 13, 14 years old.
Okay, so they were about 13, 14 years old.
Yes.
And you hadn't been paying child support for how long?
Well, actually, it wasn't that I wasn't paying child support. I wasn't paying the amount that I was supposed to pay. So my child support at the time was about $1,300. I was unemployed.
A month?
A month.
Okay.
For the two daughters. And basically, with that, I was getting unemployment. Again, first time being unemployed, they took the unemployment, which was 50% of the check. I didn't even know at that particular time. So during that time, that's why I was given a show cause.
Okay, so because there are a lot of men who, mothers as a matter of fact, some women also, who are in a situation of having to owe child support. And I don't mean to get real nosy in your business,
sure.
But of course there are a lot of people who fit in your situation.
Sure.
So you were unemployed. You were supposed to be paying $1,300 a month.
Right.
Were you paying anything at all?
I wasn't paying anything directly on my own.
Okay. So So you weren't paying anything on your own, yet the children still had to eat.
That's correct.
And regardless of what the mother did.
And I did the number one thing, and I don't want to interrupt you, I'm going to go right there. I did the number one thing that most guys, well, at least what I did.
Okay.
I contacted the mom. I said, Wendy, hey, bottom line, I don't have the job anymore, and it's going to be a little bit slow. And then she said she understood at that time.
Okay.
That was a communication between her and I. But that was the wrong person I needed to call. I needed to contact friend of the court.
There you go.
And say, hey, my bill to you, because you're collecting for her, I won't have.
Okay, so had your situation gone to the prosecutor at that point?
It's not necessarily, it wasn't a prosecutor in my particular, I'm glad you're asking me, because what it was just an accountability. It was a note to that department that I was not paying. So it wasn't where the prosecutor was coming after me. It wasn't a devastating thing, which a lot of us think. Bottom line, I wasn't paying the bill, just like any other bill collector. The president ain't calling you. The automatic.
Okay, but I need to address, since I went there, I still have to go there again. When I said the prosecutor, typically a prosecutor will get involved if you have more than $10,000 owing, and typically that is when people they are being really sued by the state because the mother in most cases have been on some kind of welfare.
Okay.
That's what typically, right now in the state of Michigan, that's what happens in Michigan.
Right. Now, at that particular time, I never was in that position.
Okay.
But because I was afraid, I did look it up. And bottom line, like you said, is $10,000 that is owed to child support to the state, or to Wayne County. This is for Wayne County. And basically, and if you owe $5,000
But it's not just Wayne County. It's the state of Michigan. Within the state, you have all these different counties. So it can be any county family. You
Sure.
know that.
Sure.
Anything over $10,000, if the mother is receiving welfare, then, and you're not, and fathers, if you're not paying, or mothers, if you're not paying, then that case or that situation can go to the prosecutor.
Right, and this is so important. I have to throw out a disclaimer real quick because now we're almost quoting some things. As a paralegal, part of the legal team, degreed as a paralegal, it's so important that you understand that my organization, Friends of Fathers, we're not a legal representative. We don't interpret the law. We can't tell you what the result's going to be, and we can't represent you in the court of law. We educate, advocate, and provide those research services by directing and instructing individuals about public information. Now, being that is the case, going back to the area for Wayne County, every county could be different, but I know for Wayne County, you can go to the website right now, Felony Non-Support, and you can check it out.
We have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Cynthia Johnson. It's Pauline Holton calling.
Good morning. Hi, Pauline.
How a great show! I'm listening to it. Very good.
Okay.
I'm not going to be talking about what he's talking about. Can I put a tip in about what's going on?
It's got to be quick.
Okay. We need people to write into the Michigan Public Service about the rate increase for DTE. Comments and letters really need to be addressed. And also, we're having a meeting in Shelby Township at a senior citizen from 1 to 4 on Saturday. If anybody cared to come.
Say that one more time.
We're having a meeting on smart meters at the Shelby Township Senior Center, 51670 Van Dyke, Shelby Township, Michigan. It's from 1 to 4.
And this is in regards to the smart meters.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you very much, Pauline.
Take care. Thank you. Good show.
Bye-bye.
Now, going back to, it's so important that, I don't know about what Oakland County has and Kent County, but all this is public information. But I would like to stress that the information that I'm sharing with you is public information on the Wayne County area. And the $5,000 or more that is owed on child support, not just 10, it's 5,000 for Wayne County. Okay, that you owe in back child support, and you have not paid, and you had the ability to pay, and they find you. Basically, they basically going to say, okay, well, they're trying to charge you as a felony non-support payer.
Wow.
Meaning that this comes
$5,000. Are you hearing this,
right.
family?
$5,000. It's important that you understand this is something that you are not doing, and they find that you had the means to do. Like, for instance, if I was avoiding child support and I was on unemployment and they were not taking my unemployment, I was contributing. I didn't even know because I wasn't on unemployment, many times. But they were taking half of my unemployment, which basically was $728 a month. So I was paying towards it. But again, I was running short of the bill. So going back to the felony non-support, that's up to 4 to 5 years on possibly felony in jail or basically on probation. Now you have a felony on your
Now you
report.
have a felony, right.
So that's so important that you do address the child support. I always stress to all of my fathers in my information sessions and my workshops is always pay something. If you can go out and buy a beer, if you can go out and buy you some food or date a woman, make sure you pay something. You said the point to me, well, the children still have to eat. I understand you were unemployed, Joseph, but the children still had to eat. Yes, you're right. And that's one of the reasons why I contacted the mother, because she's not going to get that money that I used to have. And she was okay. She understood where I was.
What about guys who contact the mother, and what they do is they pay the mother. And
foolish.
They pay her cash.
Foolish.
What about if they pay her money orders?
Foolish. Bottom line, your bill is to the friend of the court. Mm-hmm. Pay the friend of the court. Mom might get upset. Your children might be upset, but you will be more upset if you're locked up.
Okay, so I'm a father. I pay for my children. I take them out and I get them coats and I get them shoes. And I take them out to dinner, and I give the mother money. Plus, I give the mother money.
Right. Foolish. I don't care if you drop your money out there and you give to the poor, but you don't give to your own house. You got to take care of your house first, and you have to take care of your responsibility, because if you're locked up, all those things you were giving, you cannot give it anymore. So you must make sure you address the issue.
Okay, so my engineer, good morning, Mr. Engineer. He's got something to share with us.
You know, they don't care. I'm an expert at Oakland County friend of the court. I've been through that system for 13 years now. You know what they told me? Those were gifts. You didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
You still owe us.
That's right.
And so those extra, like the shoes and the coats and
the judge told me, he said, stop doing it for your son. Tell him you got to put it towards your child support.
That's right. And
everything you do is gifts.
And it's right, because bottom line, if they got enforcements out there that can go on your credit report, if you're missing 2 payments or more, you can actually have that put on it's going to be put on your credit report. If you owe $2,500 or more and you need your passport, it's going to be revoked. I mean, if you do
if you want to go to
you can't go to Jamaica.
You can't even go to Jamaica.
That's right. You can't
even go on a boat
with your new
on a cruise
with your new woman who didn't even understand that you have an issue with child support, which also gives you a problem with your credit report.
So what about a wife? What about if you get married to a new wife?
That's right.
Is she going to have to take on some of the responsibilities of your child support?
No, because those are not her children, for one, so she's not responsible.
But suppose if you jointly file with her income tax.
She seemed like she's in my brain, but I was getting ready to say, you want to make sure that you want to file injured spouse. Basically with me.
You file what?
Injured spouse, and you can contact your CPA.
Injured spouse. So the new wife is an injured spouse.
Right, because we don't want her tax returns being intercepted in place of your debt. Okay, so you really want to make sure you contact your CPA, your tax preparer, H&R Block, whoever you go to, because that's so important. Because here I am, got a new love, got another chance in the marriage, and I didn't tell her about it, and all of a sudden her taxes.
So why didn't you tell her about it?
No,
I'm not saying you.
Right,
I'm not saying you. I'm speaking.
I'm the coach.
Right. I'm not saying you. I'm just
I got you.
Generally speaking. Why wouldn't a person tell the person about it?
For one, it's a lack of knowledge. They don't know. They don't know. They sometimes they just don't know. And
they don't know to tell the new love?
They don't know that their taxes of the new love is going to be taken. Sometimes it's just like me walking into this room. If I walk in behind you, I'm with you. I get in the room. So that's the same thing with when I file my taxes with you. I think I'm going to get a tax refund because I'm filing it with you. That's unfortunate. It's a lack of knowledge. So basically, that's what our organization, Friends of Fathers, is all about, is educating and coaching these fathers on addressing their life issues. They know how to address some of these issues, but they're afraid. So we have an upcoming event that's coming up on this Sunday, on the 22nd of February at 12 o'clock at our location at 645 Griswold. That is in the Penobscot building. That's right. We're in the same building.
The Penobscot building, isn't that at the same place as Friend of the Court?
Right, the same place that the Friend of the Court. Friend of the Court is a tenant of the Penobscot building. Likewise, Friends of Fathers is, and a host of other organizations as well. It is not the Friend of the Court building.
Are you a for-profit or non-profit organ?
I'm a for-profit organization, so there is a fee for our services.
Okay.
We don't do. I do some free information sessions and things of that sort. I actually have collaborated with Triumph Church. On the third Saturdays of the month, I have been invited for the last year and a half. From the invitation was given to me by the late Angelo Henderson, which we all know and greatly appreciate it. I attend their church on the third Saturday of the month.
Every month? Every
month, and they have every morning manna, which is basically a time where the inspirational word of encouragement and teaching comes from Pastor Ken Lott as well. And afterwards, after that, that great food and a great word, they give me also a classroom where I basically educate fathers.
And that's on the third Saturday of every month, right. From what time to what time?
It approximately is right after the breakfast, so it's right around about 10:30.
Okay, so the breakfast starts at what time?
I believe it starts at 9.
At 9, and then you have a hour session.
Pretty much, I take it's about a half an hour session, but if I needed to stay longer, depends on the participants, I will stay longer.
And that's at the Triumph Church,
right down the street from here, from the radio station.
Okay, actually. So where?
That's on the East Grand Boulevard, at
and
the Triumph East location.
75.
Yes, near 75.
Okay,
that's correct.
Right.
That's
okay.
correct. Right
because
down,
people they don't see.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They don't see where I'm at.
Right.
Even though they probably know where I'm at with Facebook.
Right.
But again, it's right down the road it's the East location of Triumph. But again, this Sunday on the 22nd at 12 p.m.
From 12 to 1:30.
To 1:30. Please be punctual. We're going to be at my location on the 13th floor, Suite 1300 at 645 Griswold. You can contact our office at 313-983-0044. The number again is 313-983-0044.
And the
registration fee is actually $25.
What time should people be there to start registering?
Basically, you need to be there at least 15-20 minutes beforehand.
Okay, so about 11:45, 11:30.
Correct.
11:30.
That's correct.
To be there, and the title of this.
Our title is basically Rights and Responsibilities, and we're going to be talking about helpful hints in reference to navigating through your life issues.
Okay, so, all right, so you give a one sentence of what Friends of Fathers is all about again.
We're about empowering fathers. We're about educating them so that we can help them and we can be advocates in helping them support their children.
But isn't that what Friend of the Court does? I mean, it's right in the same building. Isn't that what they do?
Wow, that's great. I'm glad you asked that. But again, Friends of Fathers, we're a men's life coach. We educate, we coach, and train fathers, enhance the quality of life for the father in his home and is also in his community. We've also helped mothers too, but our target market has been the fathers.
But Friend of the Court, they don't charge anything.
That's correct. I'm glad you said that. Again, I educate and coach fathers on empowering them, strengthening the men and empowering fathers so they can get back in their rightful position of the family structure. And believe it, fathers can actually father or parent from a distance. So there's a lot of fathers that are not in the household, which brings me to the point of reference to the U.S. Census, where it states that when fathers are absent of a children's family structure, more children are more apt to go to jail, being, juvenile delinquent, early teenage pregnancy, drop out of high school, be involved with drugs.
We all know that, but what is it that you offer that the Friend of the Court doesn't offer?
Oh, I'm so happy. Actually, in reference to that, we offer education in reference to what fathers desire to do. Just like this gentleman, the engineer, mentioned, they don't care about that them being the father. Well, we remind them that that's the most important thing.
Who doesn't care?
He's saying that the friend of the court, in his case, did not care. And our society seems like it doesn't care. But he cares. We empower him by making sure that he keeps in line. His goal is to parent that child. And sometimes in order to parent a child, especially when you're divorced or you're separated from that child, you need to have a parenting plan. We talk about basically fathers are parents too. And we're going to be talking about that this Sunday as well.
When we talked earlier off air, you had mentioned to me that fathers are not considered parents, and I found that to be really interesting. Through friend of the court, they are not considered to be parents. Explain that.
Actually, in our society, a lot of fathers, they don't understand when that child is born, they have to identify themselves as the parent.
Okay, so let me back up again. You didn't say that friend of the court doesn't consider fathers to be parents.
That's correct.
You did not say that.
Not
okay,
at all.
so
Thank
please
you.
forgive me for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so but you're saying that in our society,
there's steps and processes that fathers have to go through in order to be identified as parents, because children are born out of wedlock, and if you're married, automatically the children are yours. But a lot of our children are born separate from a marriage. So therefore, that child is the woman's child, but it's not the father. He didn't probably, some of my fathers say, well, I didn't sign the birth certificate.
But wait a minute. The fathers who do not live at home with the child, if the mother is not a good mother, doesn't that father have just as much right to the child as the mother, even though he doesn't live in the home?
Okay, that's a good question. But going back to your original question, first he has to be identified as a parent, as a father. In the beginning, just impregnating her, walking away, don't sign any birth certificate or affidavit of parentage at the time of the child was born at the hospital. He's not identified. So therefore, he has to go through the process, which means what? He has to go to the friend of the court, go through the court process, and identify himself as the parent. But most fathers don't do that because sometimes they believe that this is all a trick. I'm going to be on child support. They're going to take all I have. They're not going to allow me to speak. So that fear is put in place. So when you get to that point, where you said in your reference to your second question, in reference to, well, if that mother's not a good mother and she's no longer to be found, but the father who's been a father to that child but has not been identified, he is just like I am in the society. How do I know that this father is the father? Just by relationship? The court has to basically protect that child.
Okay. Now, that's interesting that you say that too. Fathers can be considered the father, and I need an attorney to call up call up 313-871-6094 or 313-871-6095. I was always under the impression that of a man who has fathered, or if he hasn't even fathered the child, but if everyone around that child or him identified him as the father, then that makes him automatically the father.
Okay, but who's going to deem him as father?
Okay, so let's just
That's where the attorney is going to come in.
Okay,
for sure.
So let's just say that he has been identified as the father.
And okay, on paper, through the court process.
paper. Let's just say.
There you go.
Now he's identified.
Joe Farley is the father of the child, and the mother's not doing a great job.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the mother is doing a great job.
And so your question is that how can I actually take over the child or get custody of the child?
Well, do you just have just as much rights as the mother?
Yes, it depends on your order. Like, for instance, fortunately enough, I was married and it was a divorce. In my divorce decree, it states that I have joint legal custody. Okay. Now I have a say in reference to education, medical, and spirituality of that child. So the total being of that child.
Okay, let me ask you this. Suppose if you have a client who has been identified as the father, but there is no document saying let's say, for instance, there is no document saying that he has or they have joint legal custody. Doesn't the father have just as much right?
Well, you just kind of answered your own question. There's no documentation for it. But if he was to turn around and ask me a legal question on that, the first thing I would do, and this is very fortunate for our organization because we have a professional relationship with Crawford and Associates, which is a law firm. And I would actually contact the attorney to ask those questions so I can get the legal question answered.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. We have to get an attorney on this show, and because there's just so much to this that we still need to deal with. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you want?
Well, just to remind everyone in reference to the upcoming event that we have that's going to be on this Sunday on the 22nd at 12 p.m. at our location at 645 Griswold, and that's going to be Suite 1300. And again, this is going to be an information session about your rights and responsibilities on what fathers can be educated and coached on reference to navigating through their life issues, and such as child support.
And I understand that you have about 240 members that are members of Friends of Fathers.
Right.
And you have helped over 1,500 people?
That's correct. We have helped many, many fathers, and basically through our education processes, a number of people that we've helped even via the radio, television shows that we've been on as well, programs in churches as well in the community.
And you are a for-profit company in the state, and you're in the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. This is the only place. You don't have any other satellites.
No satellites at this
Not yet.
time. Actually, we're getting ready in March. Look out, upcoming new location, satellite location in the west side of Detroit, on West Grand Boulevard, in the Grandmont district community.
Okay, so you're going to still stay downtown.
Yes,
and then you're going to have a satellite.
Correct.
In the neighborhood.
And in the neighborhood. So therefore, for the ones who have fear coming downtown, we're going to have something where you can come to. Okay.
And can you give us a phone number to reach you for the fathers who or the mothers who need to reach you?
Sure. That telephone number is area code 313-983-0044. Again, that number is 313-983-0044. And you can also visit us via the web at friendsoffathers.org.
Fantastic. Now, speaking of the mothers, do you ever get mothers who call?
Oh, yes, for the same particular reasons. My child support is too high. We've had some great success stories from some mothers where they now have joint legal custody from their children, with their children now, modification of their child support amount, also their back child support amount for their adult children as well.
Give us one quick success story.
Oh, wonderful. I would like to actually give one quick story for a gentleman who had to, he did not have any legal rights over the child. Child was 6 or 7 years old. The mother is getting ready to move, to relocate to Tibet, out of the country for her employment. He had a relationship with the mother and the child. He would see the child on a regular basis, but he did not have a child support order saying that he had any custody. Well, basically, we coached him. He ended up getting an attorney as well who helped him through the legal part of it, but he basically got his custody of his child, and now he shares joint physical custody and joint legal custody with that child.
That's a very good success story. Thank you so much, Mr. Farley of Friends of Family.
Friends of Fathers.
Friends of Fathers. Oh, God. I just want to make one announcement for the March of Dimes. The March of Dimes Fashion Extravaganza Committee is going to be hosting a fashion extravaganza at St. John's Banquet and Conference Center, which is located at 22001 Northwestern Highway in Southfield on March 15th at 5 p.m. Again, that's March 15th at 5 p.m. That's the March of Dimes Fashion Extravaganza. This is Stand Up Now with Cynthia A. Johnson, and you're listening to Gospel 1440 WMKM Reborn. And again, thank you, Mr. Farley of Friends of Fathers.
Thank you.
up all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. They're the ones who's coming up, and the world is in their